Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly have really just started to speak out a lot when it comes to Israel and really do not care anymore. And I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love it because we're starting to see this massive shift on the mainstream right. And that massive shift on the mainstream right is actually making a massive difference towards conservatives' opinions on Israel. So I'm going to play this short clip here, and let's take a listen to it.
And
But
I
why?
barely ever even talk about Israel, and I've experienced some of this backlash. It's ridiculous.
Well, you came out and said, I love Israel. I'm a friend of Israel. I couldn't be more pro-Jewish. I don't have an anti-Semitic bone in my body. And I, by the way, really like Israel for the 5th time. And they still called you a Nazi. So why? Why? And I even talked to some of the people doing it. I was like, Megyn Kelly, really? If Megyn Kelly's an anti-Semite, I mean,
I have to stop intermittently just for, copyright reasons and everything else. So you can tell based on this conversation, and this is what a lot of people are feeling, is that the reason that they're shifting, including Megyn Kelly, because I actually, paying attention and listening to her clips over the past 3 years especially, the shift happened because she started feeling like she was being choked. The shift happened for a lot of other people because they feel like they're being choked. And for people that were neutral going into it or didn't know much about what's happening in Palestine, what Israel is doing to Palestine, for people who had no idea or had very little idea of it prior, what they recognized very quickly when they started looking into the story is that if you talk about Israel, there is a lot of pressure to shut your voice down. And for those that speak up, they're demonized, they're attacked, they get fired, they lose their job, X, Y, and Z. And people are starting to recognize that. So I think people who genuinely went into this topic neutral and are learning it all at once, aside from all the human rights abuses and everything else, what everybody can relate to is the sense that, oh, wait, one side is actually over amplified in the media and the other side is under amplified. Oh, wait, one side spends millions and billions of dollars controlling the narrative, while the other side has no money whatsoever to push any sort of narrative. And, oh, wait, one side is actually threatening me and is actually telling me I'm a hateful person, I'm anti-Semitic, for not listening to them, while the other side is too busy dying. Okay? People are starting to recognize that, and American support for Israel is declining for that reason, regardless of whether or not they even support Palestine. That's the thing, regardless of whether or not they even support Palestine. I think that hopefully most good people don't want the killing of children. I think that's pretty obvious. I also don't think Megyn Kelly is supportive of Palestine. She's not. And to me, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. I don't care, because what I do care about is the fact that ultimately the goal is right now, from an American perspective, to just put America first, and fighting a war on behalf of a foreign country is not America first. And not only that, isolating America diplomatically on the behalf of Israel, when we veto all of these resolutions at the UN and we ostracize ourselves at the UN on behalf of Israel, that's not America first either. It's not America first when we lose our allies for Israel and we don't recognize the diplomacy we have with surrounding countries. A lot of reasons, and we've talked about it all before. So from that perspective alone, doing this sort of, obsession with Israel doesn't benefit Americans, and they're starting to recognize it. Yet we have people like Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, and they're continuously pushing this. And, geez Louise, if you've seen some of the stuff that they've been saying about Tucker Carlson yesterday to Mark Levin, he just went after him. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I'm not, it doesn't matter whether or not you agree with either of these two people. The day before, I did the exact same video on these sort of disparaging remarks, actually just yesterday, not even the day before, on Anna Kasparian, who's also getting attacked. So it doesn't matter if you're on the left or the right. And I made a video prior to that on Cenk Uygur, also getting attacked. It does not matter if you're on the left or the right. They're eventually going to go after both sides. They are going after both sides. So let's take a little bit more of a listen here to the rest of this clip.
I mean, I don't even know where we are here. But now we're seeing why. And the reason was to prevent criticism of policy goals. Israel wants, they're saying it out loud, they want to use the U.S. military and the U.S. Treasury to sweep aside the last remaining obstacle to regional hegemony in the Middle East, which is Iran. Yep. And they don't want to be criticized or to be asked, like, what's the plan here? Because they don't have an answer.
So I'm going to stop there as well. And what's important, what I think that at least I missed the first time, so I listened to it again. I was like, I like that. I'm glad that he mentioned that, where it was, he said the U.S. military, of course, and then he also said the U.S. Treasury. which I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, wait a second, that's an interesting way to put it. Israel is also, of course, using the U.S. Treasury. And the way Israel is using the U.S. Treasury, implementing sanctions on Iran to cripple their economy, to incite and foment anger within Iran, civil unrest to overthrow the regime. That's using the U.S. sanctions, using sanctions and weaponizing them for, again, the benefit of Israel, all to overthrow the country. Not really considering the wider problems here. When we do that, it's all for the benefit of Israel. So this kind of goes back to the same thing that I was mentioning. It's not just about going to war on behalf of Israel. It's everything else. It's everything else that we do. Going to war, the diplomatic shielding, destroying diplomacy with other countries that we could have otherwise been friendly with. It's much, much more than just fighting wars and sending over military aid. It's much more. So let me go ahead and play the remainder, 20 seconds here.
And so they have taken offline preemptively critics by being so violent rhetorically and maybe physically that everyone's like, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to deal with this. The cost is too high.
That's exactly it.
That is exactly what they've done. And I've just decided at 56, I don't care. And I'm just going to do this because I believe that my motives are pure. I'm just an American. And I think it's important to say this. But there are a lot of other people who feel it who won't say it because it's like, I've got kids. I don't want to deal with this. That is true. That's a
and
so, I mean, honestly, it's really nice and refreshing to hear this again, coming from people on the conservative right, especially because of the fact that that's really Israel's stronghold right now, is the conservative right in America, and they know they're losing that too. I just did a video today on the fact that the recent Gallup polls came out, and now Republican support for Israel has dropped from last year. And from 84% last year to 69% this year. Now, if you think 69% is a lot, I agree. That does sound like a big number. Here's the thing. If you look at the breakdown by age, for Republicans under the age of 50, support for Israel among Republicans under the age of 50 is between, I believe, 40 and 50% now. Under the age of 30, it's less than 25, 30%. So even on the conservative side, the only thing really holding up support for Israel right now in the United States really tends to be the older generation on both sides, and then especially, of course, older Republicans. That's where you have that strong Israel, Israel support. Otherwise, it's totally flatlining. It's totally flatlining, and even among that generation, the older generation, older conservative, even among those individuals, and because I see people in my comments, I see who I'm interacting with, I see who view my videos, even among that demographic, they're losing support. And they're freaking out. And they recognize they don't have much time to get everything they want done, which is why they're hijacking the U.S. administration now more than ever to make sure to push the United States to go to war with Iran, because they know that they might not have the opportunity to push the United States to do that again in the future. So we'll see how things unfold moving forward. If you found this video interesting, guys, I'd appreciate it if you click the subscribe button below and give it a thumbs up as well. It helps me reach more people like